What's up, all you beautiful people? Welcome to a Thursday edition of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. Open an account with Bet365 today and bet on a huge range of markets. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So use our code NATION, NATION, in all caps. I already see the chat asking me for a wellness check. I wasn't able to watch the Rangers-Sabres game last night or any hockey game in the NHL last night. I was doing the UMass versus BU game, which was an incredible game. Friend of the show, Cole Hudson, took over in the third period and put on quite the performance. But before we talk about anything else, I'm going to kick it over to my dear partner and co-host, Colby Cohen, who I gave a lovely shout out to on the broadcast last night. Not sure if you caught that. You're on mute. You're muted. You can talk now.
Yeah, I don't know why I was muted. I wonder if I was still muted from the intro and then Vic didn't unmute me. So that was probably Vic's fault because I never muted me. But
my mic wasn't connected either, so now it is. So yeah.
So tough that's start. Why. But by the way, you didn't give me a beautiful shout out. That I would completely disagree with. I think that you did a flyby. Let's call it a flyby.
What do you mean? You would never associate with me on live TV if you had the chance.
But would there ever be a reason to?
I guess not.
But I did shout you out when I did the last game. I talked about our show.
You didn't say my name.
Well, I mean, I said the guy I work with.
You said my show.
Well, it is my show. Although I sent you that tweet the other day of someone who responded to us and called it your show. He said, "Yeah, this guy Colby Cohen was on Johnny Lazarus's podcast."
Really?
Yeah, you didn't see that? I sent that to you while you were driving to Boston.
No, I didn't see that.
Anyways, yeah. So you did do the game last night. Wasn't the most entertaining game, I'll be honest. I actually flipped away from it at one point during the second period because I wanted to do a Rangers check and see how that game was going. It wasn't a real pretty game, Johnny.
Yeah, I heard it was ugly.
It really wasn't. It wasn't a real pretty game. And then I started flipping over to the Ottawa Anaheim game, and I texted Frank and I'm like, Cronin's got to be on his way out, right? I mean, how could he withstand this? And I'm not a huge Greg Cronin fan. He's a little bit of a nut job, in my opinion. And it makes sense that Verbeek hired him because, he likes that Cronin's a guy that kind of makes everybody uncomfortable and he's kind of hard-nosed and hard-edged. But I got to tell you, you look at the way that team is playing, like, yeah, sure, they're in a rebuild. Yeah, sure, they've got a lot of young players, but, I mean, they look lifeless as well out in Anaheim. I mean, really lifeless. So, yeah, it was kind of a slow night of hockey. And, obviously yesterday was a big episode. We had Kevin Shattenkirk on. We had James Van Riemsdyk, which was a total surprise. That was not planned whatsoever. That just stemmed from him watching the show and texting me saying, I want to pop on and say something to Shatty. And then obviously Frank came in on the backside. But the one thing that we didn't really have time to get into, and I'm sure our audience is not aware of this, like, kind of the story of it all. And why would they? Like, social media, again, was not around when we were in college and we were kind of both coming up. Because they did write about it a lot. Like, there was a lot of coverage on NHL.com of sort of the relationship that him and I had, because it was unique. Like, we started as rival hockey players at a young age in the Atlantic District, right, in this area. We've had Glenn on the show. Was the commissioner of this district as well. And then we started playing together when we were in 8th grade on the same teams. And then we'd go back to our regular club teams, but we always, continued to play against one another. And then summer times, he'd spend time here. I'd spend time at his house. We'd do hockey camps. Like, we basically came up and we trained together in the summer. We played together. And it was that started when we were in 8th grade. And then you kind of fast forward as we started to get older and we started to make the select teams, the Atlantic District, the U.S. Hockey Festival teams, kind of continued to carry through to the point where we both make the U.S. national team. from the Atlantic District, which doesn't happen super often from
Yeah.
our area, from our district. And then, we're both being recruited by the same colleges. We were both right-handed defensemen. We were both offensive defensemen. And even though we were each other's, biggest competition, we were actually each other's biggest support staff as well. So we were at the U.S. national team together. He's considering BU or Michigan. I'm looking at BU, Michigan, and Denver, and I kind of paired it. Michigan kind of got paired off of that. So for me, it was BU or Denver. Well, we decide, hey, this would be really great to go to college together. Like, we've been doing this for so long. So we call David Quinn and Jack Parker the same day. We actually called them together to commit to BU. They were all happy about that. So, then we took another step together, and then our senior year in high school, we're at the draft together. We have the same agent, it only made sense, right? And we go through the draft process or whatever. He gets drafted in the first round by Colorado, and I was like the maybe 18th ranked skater for the draft, so like I thought I would be a first round pick, and we kind of figured the roads would fork at that point. But like I told the story yesterday, not only do they pick him, a right-handed defenseman, their second pick, they decided to take me as a right-handed defenseman. And so that continued, right?
Yeah.
Our first development camp together. And then we go to BU together. We roomed together at BU. The first weekend of the season, he played with Matt Gilroy, and I played with Brian Strait. And then after the first weekend of the season, they put us together. And we played together for 3 years at BU as partners. Like we played on the power play together. We played. So it was.
Were you on the offside?
I was the offside. Yeah, I played the left side. I was very comfortable on my offside. So it was amazing. Like we just got to experience so many different things together from 8th grade all the way to pro. And then we signed our contracts, and I'll give you one more story. And I know we are hoping to get Pat on today, but
yeah.
So we finished our last game our junior year, and again, we had the same agent, right? And so he told he basically said, I'm okay with you holding up my contract with Colorado in order to get Colby more money, because he was a first round pick. He was going to get all the bells and whistles,
and signing bonuses were bigger back then, right?
Everything. Yeah. I was not a first round pick. And if you look at our numbers at BU, I think we finished identically with like 78 points over 3 years. Same amount of points. I'm pretty sure.
I didn't even play 78 games.
So he is okay with holding up his contract just so I could get more money, because our agent went to them and said, if you want Shatty, you got to give it to Colby, or they're both going back for their senior year. So again, another time where he looked out, right? He had, and we signed our contracts at T's Pub, because that was the only place that had a fax machine that we knew, and we knew the owners of the bar at BU. So we signed at T's Pub. We faxed our contracts back. Yeah, fax machines. I know.
Crazy.
And then we kind of had a fun night at T's Pub. And then the next day we had to get on a flight and report. So, and then again, fast forward training camp, they're writing all these articles about him and I, because there was only one spot that year, right? And he actually got sent to the American League before I did. I made it up to opening night and then got sent back. I think I had a little bit of a better camp than him that year, because there was no pressure on me. All the pressure was on him as the first round pick. So he was feeling that pressure, right? So he goes down to Cleveland. I go down a few weeks later, and then we both get called up at the same time. And get to play our first NHL game the same time, right? So I asked him the question about core moments.
Yeah.
Every core moment of my hockey career since I can remember, I'm not kidding you, I shared it with him. Now, he went on. We all know what he's gone on to do after that. He never went back to the minors. He's had the career that he had, but every single core moment for me, he was there, right? Like he was, and so that's why having him on yesterday, and again, I know I'm making this all about me the first 10
No,
minutes.
no, no. Listen.
But
I think we, like, a lot of us give you shit for talking about yourself sometimes, but like, this is a special guy in your life, and his 14-year NHL career, just came to an end. Like, it's obviously a big day for you, and I would hope that you feel comfortable enough to talk this way. Like,
yeah, no, listen,
I think this is perfectly okay, and people should
I'm
be happy.
I'm just, like, it's a guy that I'm so proud of everything that he's done. And like, it was hard to watch him at the end of his career because it was like, it wasn't painful, like, because he's not good or anything like that, but it's just hard because you're living and dying through him when he's playing. Like, he makes a mistake in a game or he costs his team a goal or something, and I'm like dying inside watching it. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like a nervous parent, or like a nervous sibling, or how I imagine our parents feel watching us play hockey in our career. Anytime he played, yes, Salvatore, I did play in the NHL. Anytime he played after I retired from playing, like, that's what it felt like. I remember being in Washington when he scored an overtime goal in the playoffs for the Capitals, and the joy that I felt, I felt like I scored because that's how much joy I had for him.
Forgive me for not knowing this. I feel like I should know it, and I feel like the answer is yes. But were you on that 2009 World Junior team with him?
Second year, not first year. He went to 2.
You went to 2. Was that 09?
I don't know what year.
Was it Ottawa? In Ottawa?
Yes.
Oh, so that was okay. So that was actually the first I'd ever heard of the World Juniors. I was playing in the Bell Cup at the time of the World Juniors,
which is cool.
And I went to one of your guys' games, and that's I didn't know what the World Juniors was, so I watched you and Chatty play in the World Juniors without even knowing.
Well, we had been D partners that year, obviously, at BU, and it was our sophomore year. We were having a big year.
That was the
I will say,
against you guys, right, on Christmas Eve.
That stuff blends together with U18s and U17s, even though it's so much different. All the times we had to go to Slovakia, all the times we had to go to, literally like Czech Republic, Slovakia. We had Russia once. Like, that stuff just starts to blend together because it's such a small period of time, and you're with the same group of guys, basically, starting with the national team at 17 years old, 18 years old, and then 20 years old, 19, 20. That stuff really, really blends together. Like, who was your coach at this one? Who was your coach? Like, I have no idea. So I could just say that was great to have him on yesterday. We probably could have sat and reminisced for hours and hours and hours, but he's not wrong.
We'll do it over the summer.
We still laugh about games that we played against each other when we were like peewees, and it's just funny because then we did it at all the highest levels. And again, like, the biggest moment of my hockey career is scoring the national championship goal, and he's the one who passes it to me. And we have that great photo.
Yeah, it was sick.
Before I got dogpiled, he got to me first. And it's just a great moment. It's actually in my dad's house. There's like a big canvas print of it. So, those things are great. They're meaningful to me. He's been so meaningful to me. And you saw the outpour from all the players in the NHL yesterday. He had a big hand in hiring Marty Walsh. He'll never talk about it publicly, but him and James Van Riemsdyk were like 2 of 6 or 7 players that really interviewed people for the NHLPA. This is a guy who's very, very well respected, not just on the ice, but in the locker room and then away from the rink. Like, this is, he's been a lot of people's best man at their wedding. A lot of people's best man at their wedding. And his wedding party was pretty big, but I could say that I was the best man. Like, I got the trump card on everyone. So I wanted to start the show with that a little bit today. And I wanted to kind of wrap that because we didn't really get an opportunity to get into that so much yesterday. And we had so many people trying to text us and come on the show yesterday that we didn't even get to Pat yesterday. We couldn't even fit him in because it was just too much of a shit show. So anyways, Johnny, I wanted to start with that.
Yeah, no, I think everyone appreciated that, to be honest. Like, that was nice. It's good to show gratitude.
Yeah, it's honestly nothing but gratitude, and now we get to raise our kids together and spend time together and all that. So it's really the best part of everything.
Yeah, and now we're gonna talk about me. But before we do that, I want to give a lovely word from our sponsor, Proraso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care made in Italy since 1948. Proraso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Proraso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. And as we just heard a lovely story from Colby talking about himself, we're now going to witness the end of my broadcasting career. So I think it was Big Willie Style who gave me a nice compliment about doing the game last night on Nesson, UMass versus BU, which is Colby and I's, I guess it's not my alma mater because I didn't graduate from there, but that's where I started my college career. And we have a clip that we're going to show from the game last night. I was hoping it would go unnoticed, but BU scored right after, so they tweeted the clip out, and I got a lot of texts about this one last night. So Vic, cue it up.
The analytic Coach Carvel cared about most, and I'm sure we'll see heavy shifts, make it into the NHL someday. Nice move by Yzerman, feeds front, score!
So I don't know if anyone caught that, but I meant to say heavy shift, and I accidentally said heavy shit, but I caught myself, and I thought it would go unnoticed. And then text started rolling in, tweets started rolling in.
The goal happened right after. So you're like, oh, hopefully
helped.
I can disguise it. But your play-by-play guy didn't help you out very much. Like your play-by-play guy kind of made that a bigger deal.
No, I think he was reacting because there was a goal about to happen. I don't think it was a reaction to like the.
Well, he goes,
God,
what?
he said shit.
What?
I mean, in my brain, I was like, "Oh God!"
I'm gonna give you a little bit of shit before we go to power rankings. Stop apologizing on the air so often. You apologized on the air way too many times.
It's a Sam Rosen thing, like the excuse me.
Stop.
It's from watching Sam Rosen my whole life.
Stop apologizing so much.
If I mess up someone's name, I just say excuse me.
Yeah, but there were a few times where you said Boston Terriers and then you said sorry and you put the university back in. Like, you're fine. Totally fine.
I think you shit on me last year when I think I said Michigan University and not University of Michigan.
Listen, I always tell you when you make a mistake, power through. Power through.
I thought I powered through.
But you apologize. When you apologize, you're calling attention to it. Just power through, right? Like,
I mean, I said shit on the air. I'm obviously going to apologize.
Pretend like you're mad at me and just power through, okay? Don't apologize. Just keep going. So, all right, look, let's get into power rankings while we wait for our guy, Pat Maroon.
Wait, also, I'm sorry for apologizing to you.
Okay. You're like a Canadian with how much you say sorry.
Vic just texted me and say apologize to him.
Canadian people apologize so much. Canadian people, they love to apologize. You fit right in with the Canadians with the apologetic, always apologizing to everyone. So, all right. So let's get to power rankings. We haven't done it since the 25th. So it's been a little more than 2 weeks. Obviously, we try to do it every other week here, but I'll tell you this. My power rankings went wild on this one, and it was a little bit harder for me because I feel like a lot of teams have been inconsistent, and I think that when I look at the power rankings, Johnny, I look at who's playing the best for those 2 weeks since we've last done it.
I measure the whole season in also. I don't just keep it at 2 weeks.
But listen, I take that into account, but I'm thinking power rankings are like, who are the best players right now, or who are the teams playing the best right now? And I already see.
We both have the Jets off.
Where are the Jets?
Yeah.
I struggled with Edmonton because I kind of wanted to. I was like, I think Edmonton gets, but I do like the way Edmonton's playing. They were kind of first out for me, or at least right there. But again, like, Minnesota has just been good all year. And look, the one thing I always wrestle with, and Sharma, I knew you were going to be upset about your Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I had Toronto and Carolina in last time we did this, and they both came out.
And listen, I had Toronto in last night when I first started this, and then I pushed them out because I don't like the way that they've played over the last 2 weeks. I really don't. And I know they got that win against New Jersey, but I still didn't love it. And I don't want to hear this East Coast bias from you, D. All right. We always have Edmonton. When Edmonton deserves to be in, we always have them in.
You have the Kings in.
I watch Edmonton more than any other quote unquote West Coast area. And I know they're not on the West Coast. I know they're in Alberta, but I'm just saying the most consistent team all season and the team that has just continued to win all season has been the Minnesota Wild. And I know you can question some of the teams that they've beat over the last couple of weeks, like Anaheim, like Nashville, like Chicago, like Buffalo, like Vancouver, but they're taking care of business against bad teams. Like they just are taking care of business against bad teams. And can you put the list back up, Vic, and maybe put us in the small,
just leave it up.
You can put us in small boxes on the side as we kind of work through this. And again, how can you not like Washington? To me, again, like look how they've continued to play. Look at how Dylan Strome has been.
That would be my one change now. I would flop Washington and the Devils.
Yeah,
if I were to flop right now.
And
Washington would be my one.
Let me ask you this, Johnny. You've got the Los Angeles Kings who have won 6 games in a row. Yeah. How hard is it to win 6 games in a row in the NHL? And they beat the Islanders, Minnesota, Dallas, Ottawa, Anaheim, and Winnipeg. And I know there's Ottawa, Anaheim, Winnipeg hasn't been playing as well lately, but still, how hard is it to win 6 games in a row in the NHL? Like, even like you see San Jose catching teams off guard. You see, they did have a loss to San Jose in the last 10 games, but like good teams take care of business against bad teams. And that's where I don't want to penalize teams for not having quote unquote marquee wins against in a stretch where you're 8-0-1, right? I mean, that's a big time. You won 6 in a row and you're 7 out of 10. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And it's funny that like the way we both do this, I feel like every time we do power rankings, we still argue about what they mean in our brains.
And that's okay.
No, because right now, like the way that I do my power rankings is like who to me are the best 5 teams in the NHL. Like not just the last 2 weeks, but like right now, who'd be the 5 teams that I'm the most scared of playing against? And that's the order that I go in. Like that's why Minnesota to me is 5. And not
can
1.
you guys put in the chat your 5 teams? Like I want to see your 5 teams in the chat in order who you guys would put. And then if you want, you can even give us who you'd have 6 and 7 on your bubble. And let me just say this, because I've seen some Oilers people in the chat this morning. I have a feeling next power rankings Edmonton will be in. I have a feeling because that is just to me how they're trending. They're to me like a month ago. I'm sitting there and I'm like, the Edmonton Oilers, like I can't even watch them. They're so frustrating to watch. And now they've started to get on track and now they're starting to move in the right way. And yeah, Tommy T, like that's how I look at the power rankings. I heavily weight the last 2 weeks, but I take into account the whole season. But I put 70% of a weight on how they've played since we did the last power rankings. Because here's how I think about it, Johnny. Who's the hottest teams and the best teams? If the playoffs started today, who are the most dangerous teams? They're the teams that are playing the best the last couple of weeks and pushing the hardest.
But even with that, so that's where my argument, I think, changes. Because even though Minnesota has been playing the best and most consistent all year, they're not that scary to me still. Like, I don't look at Minnesota and say, like, this is the complete team. If you listen, obviously this is but if you take away Kaprizov, if he plays against a team that shuts him down, what else they got right now? I know Marco Rossi's playing well. Missing Zuccarello's hurt them a bit.
You're forgetting Boldy. He's pretty good too.
Boldy's been good, but like I feel like that entire team runs through Kaprizov.
And
Gustafson's been great in net. Don't get me wrong, but I think the other 4 teams I have on this list are much better complete teams.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like we keep saying that and we keep waiting for Minnesota to fall off. But I'm looking at their lineup right now. You've got Hartman on your second line with Foligno and Johansson. Johansson. And again, there's a lot of heaviness in the bottom of the lineup with guys like Trennan, Freddie Gaudreau, Lauko. I mean, that's a nice heavy line right there.
We should get Chris Kelleher on here, by the way.
You should ask him. You guys,
I've been texting him like all week.
You guys are buddies, so ask him to come on and we'll let him tell the story about how he called you out in Vegas. Chris Kelleher is the assistant general manager in Minnesota.
Also, wait, can I just say, did you just say Johansson? Excuse me, Johansson? Was that an apology?
I'm not broadcasting an a game right now. They're two completely different things.
Just saying.
But I'm also the name ruiner. I get no one's name right. I don't even get your name right. Your name's not right in my cell phone.
Is it John? Is it John?
Yeah, it's just John. You don't even have a last name. It's just John. John. John.
It's actually one of the funnier bits you do when you just tweet. Look at what John said.
Well, because you get angry about it and there's nothing to get angry about. So it's funny. But I see everybody's in the chat. I think there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting though, like Chef Richard, Wildcats, Devils, Florida, Jets, Florida. So there's a lot of similarities. And yeah, Fab says Laz now apologizing for correcting Colby. That's you don't even hear yourself doing it. But there is a lot of teams, and then going back to the middle frame of the power rankings, like Vegas and Florida, they just kind of continue to do their thing. They continue to win games against good teams and bad. Mm-hmm. Both of those teams, right? 5 guys with 20 plus points. Like they're scoring, they're getting a lot of scoring from a lot of different players. And Barkov obviously was injured for a minute. I didn't have the Canes into this because I just think that their last couple of weeks, they've been so inconsistent. They've had inconsistent goaltending.
Power play has been good, though. Their power play, I think, is like above a 40%.
Yeah. And then with the LA Kings, like I just want to touch on them for another second because we never, ever talk about the LA Kings on this show.
They're here on Saturday. They play the Rangers at 1:00 Saturday.
Alex Laferriere's got 12 goals. That was a big question. Is he going to help with scoring, right? We know Kempe and Kopitar are going to score, but how about this? Laferriere, Kempe, and Kopitar are all plus 15, plus 16, right? Like those guys are getting it done 5-on-5. I mean, when your top players are scoring even strength, your team is moving in the right direction. So, Brandt has been incredible on the back end for them. They're only going to get better with Drew Doughty, right? They're only going to get better eventually, not worse. So I think LA deserved to be in the power rankings. So you didn't have them in at all, right? You didn't have them in your top 5. Yeah. I mean, you're on a 6-game winning streak and you're like 7 or 8-2 in your last 10. I don't know how you leave a team like that out. I just don't.
Because I think the other 5 teams are better. And I don't,
that's fine.
I'm not just leaving, I'm not just making my decision based off 2 weeks. Like when Columbus got hot, Columbus had a hot streak of like 7 games. I wouldn't put them in my power rankings,
Did they win 6 in a row? Were
they 8-2? I think they won like 6 out of 7 or something like that.
I don't remember that happening.
Like a month ago, I think they were pretty hot.
But I just said it's more heavily weighted that way. Yeah. I said the overall does matter, right? I mean, and all the teams people are asking about, and you guys are all putting in the chat right now, they're all teams that if we were going to rank 15 teams or 10 teams, they're probably all the next 5. Yeah. So it just becomes a little bit subjective as to kind of how you feel. So look, a very different looking power rankings this week. And a lot of difference of opinion, a lot of people in the chat, a lot of similarities, a lot of differences. We like that you guys take place in that. MK, can we do the power rankings for the bottom 5 teams? I mean, not
who'd be there.
Who'd be there. I think we could all probably agree on how that would at least look. But we'll see. I mean, big question for me. And I see Jay Miller in the chat. And then
we both fucked up by leaving the Jets out, I think.
Well, I disagree. Like I feel okay about having them out of the top 5. Sure. Would they be in the top 8? Yeah, I'd have them in the top 8. But they have not been playing well. And they have a history of having stretches where they look like a dominant Stanley Cup team. And then they go the other way and they almost make you look like they're not a playoff team for a while. And so right now, they're probably somewhere in between at the way that they're playing. And that's why I left them out. So let's get to your read here, Jonny, and then let's welcome in our guy Pat Maroon to the show here in a minute.
And after Pat, we'll do our OutWest Worst Team of the Week, so you guys can put in the chat who you think the worst team of the week is this week. But before we bring on Pat Maroon, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Fountain Tire. You and your family's safety is important, and Fountain Tire specializes in tire and auto service, and you don't have to settle for a good deal or good customer service because at Fountain Tire, they do both. They'll treat your vehicle like it's their vehicle, and if you need new tires or maybe your engine has a little rattle, stop into Fountain Tire and they'll sort you out. And right now, you can save up to $225 on a set of 4 select tires, including Goodyear, until December 14th. Plus, save $50 or more on any service of $150 with some restrictions applying. Stop into Fountain Tire or make an appointment. Check out fountaintire.com. Let's bring our friend Pat Maroon into the show. It's game day for Pat, taking on the Islanders tonight. So we appreciate you, Pat, coming on before you guys head over to the rink for meetings and morning skate. If you guys are even skating, are you guys skating this morning?
No, we're not skating this morning.
Not skating this morning.
We have a couple meetings, so things got shuffled around this morning, so that's why I couldn't be on at 9.
No, it's all right.
Why didn't you guys skate at MSG the other day either? I feel like you guys aren't skating in the mornings.
I don't think maybe he doesn't like morning skates, the new coach. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice so we get to relax all day and we get our morning meetings in and a little review and then power play, penalty kill. So it's kind of nice just to kind of hang out.
Well, Pat,
right, so yeah.
I want to ask you about that. You're just teasing topics. You're becoming a media pro here. Look, we haven't had a chance to get into this with you because, obviously it just happened. Luke Richardson dismissed as head coach. We don't need to, we know Luke Richardson is literally one of the greatest human beings in the game of hockey. I mean, he's just an unreal class act guy. It's unfortunate. Shit happens. We want to focus more on Anders Sorensen. And we want to focus on, and maybe you can talk to the audience a little bit here, Pat, about how weird it is. One day, this guy's your coach, and he has a certain set of framework and meetings and meeting times, and he likes pregame skates and this and that. Then the next day, you have a totally new head coach, right, who's never coached in the National Hockey League. By the way, I love Anders. I knew him really well when I was working there, and I have a lot of belief and faith in this guy. But what is that like as a player and when that type of thing happens?
Yeah, obviously it's unfortunate for Luke. As players, you got to hold yourself accountable because unfortunately someone has to go and you can't trade 23 players. Luke is such a great guy. He's a great coach, and we didn't play good enough underneath him, and it's unfortunate that he had to get let go. But I wish Luke all the best. But with Andres, it's a new voice, a new guy. It's not a coach that's been recycled again. It's a guy that's probably eager and hungrier than anyone that's probably stepped foot in this league right now. And I really enjoyed working with him these last, whatever it's been, 5 days. He's very good X's and O's. He communicates very well with his players. He's a very smart hockey mind coach. And, the practices have been really good up tempo and guys are engaging. Obviously it's a new coach, so guys are, probably, going all out more than usual, but that doesn't say much. But I think, what he's been translating to us and into our, system and, how to play and playing the right way, I think he's done a really good job with that. So, I'm really loving it right now. Nothing, obviously, like I said before, nothing against Luke, but I'm really enjoying his, the way he's handled himself and the way he, thinks the game and, prepares us.
Has there been one thing in particular, though, Pat, like you're talking about changes and his expectations? Has there been one thing in particular maybe that sticks out to you that was kind of like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I didn't think about this because look, he's the first ever Swedish born head coach in the National Hockey League. Like, he came through a non-traditional path. He comes over from Sweden to be an assistant coach in Rockford with Derek King. Derek King gets promoted as interim. Then Luke takes over. Derek Kinger becomes assistant. And now Kinger's working for Anders as the dynamic is totally flipped. But has there been something that stuck out to you? And I'm not asking you to give any of the secret sauce away.
Yeah,
I'm
what's
just
your guys'
curious-
forecheck?
Yeah, I'm just curious if there's one thing in particular maybe that stood out
I
to
think,
you.
well, you guys all know we have been scoring a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's been a big issue for us. And I think the one thing he's entered into our like video and our structure, maybe Luke wasn't doing, is getting our D, getting the fourth man in the rush, creating more offense, showing us end zone offensive stuff where we can create more things. Second and third opportunities, D down the wall. I think we weren't doing that. We were playing a little more passive. So I think for us, when we get that next wave up and that layer into the rush, it makes a huge difference, especially for the D. So our breakouts have been better. Now we're kind of in structure. We're in places. And guys know it's more predictable where to be and where to go on the ice. So that just leads into, when you have predictable breakouts, that leads into fourth man in the rush, guys in lanes, guys moving their feet, playing a lot faster than usual right now, which is why we, obviously the first game is the first game. But, I thought the Rangers game, I thought we did a better job of doing those things.
Yep, and you know the root of my questions this morning, Pat. So let's just get right into it. I did catch you flirting with Igor Shesterkin in warm up. What was that all about? Skating up and down the red line. I caught you on video. Vic, you threw that up here.
Oh yeah. I was kind of just like messing around with him. I was like, "You make too much money as a goalie." Just joking around with him. I was like, "You need to save some for your other players."
What did he say?
Nothing. He was laughing because I was just I was joking around with him a little bit. I wasn't really like, but I was like, and then I said congratulations. But, yeah, that stuff's pretty funny to me.
Pat, my favorite moment from that game, you deflect that shot, it goes off the post, and whoever's using the tight camera, because there's different cameras obviously around the building. One's for tight shots, one's for wide shots. They get like a tight shot of your face on the replay, and you're like, oh, like, because it was like, but it was such a great shot. Like, I got to give the whoever was working that camera for MSG and whoever was the director that said get to that camera. Like, it was just such a great moment of like, because it was so close. And it was a great tip. You're in a great spot, but you just didn't get it to fall. But I did enjoy that that moment of that game. I wanted that one for you, pal. I really did.
I know. I was disappointed I didn't get that one, but it's right. They'll come.
So I got to ask, because it doesn't happen often. What's it like being an MSG and hearing the home fans boo the Rangers when you beat them?
It's a really good feeling. Yeah, I mean, MSG is like that's when you made it, right, in your career, and you're playing at MSG, you're kind of skating around, looking up, and it's the best building, it's the vibe, it's everything about it. The fans are so passionate. Obviously the fans are very hard on their team. They're not really playing that well right now, but they have looks like they have a good core group guys over there that they can figure something out.
And I got to ask this one too, because this was something interesting that I noticed. You were the only one in warm up not wearing a helmet. Is that often now, like, that you find that? Because I know it's a new rule that they've implemented, right? There's a fine now for guys who aren't like grandfathered in or something like that. If you don't,
there's a fine now. I think you had to have either, I forget what year they did it.
But you were literally the only one on the ice with no helmet. I was like,
well, I know the visor rule. So Pat, I don't know when did your pro career start? Was it 2009?
Yeah, I started in 2008, 2009.
So you don't need a visor because you're 2008, 2009. And then I think 2009, 10, that was the last year. If you started that year, you could not wear a visor. I'm pretty sure after that, they put the visor rule in, which is why you see obviously everybody wearing a visor. They don't even have a choice anymore. But I didn't know about the warm-up helmet rule. Yeah. You don't see many guys do it anymore.
Yeah, they grandfathered both of those in. The visor rule, you had coming in 08, 09, doesn't matter what pro, but you had to have 25 NHL games.
Okay.
There's only like 4 guys who don't have a visor, I think, right now. It's Ryan O'Reilly, Ryan Reed,
Bogosian,
Mac Bogosian, and Jamie Benn.
Jamie Benn.
Yeah. So those are the only 4.
Because I remember I went no visor my rookie year, the lockout year. And I only played like 17 games all combined. I was really pissed. The next year I had to put a visor on.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that. I didn't know that there was a threshold. I thought it was just a when you join the league thing. So, well, look, you guys have been in New York all week. Obviously it's usually how that goes, right? You catch all the Hudson River teams. What's that been like? I mean, have you been spending some time with the family? Has there been some good bonding time with your guys? I mean, I think one thing hockey fans are used to hearing is that, being on a road trip is where teams can sort of come together, teams can bond. I actually think the Anders Sorensen thing happening and then you guys get on the road, maybe that's a good thing. Just because there's a little bit less distraction. You're not in your home building. Maybe the media's circus is not as big. So what's New York been like this week?
Yeah, it's been good. I got to see my kid. He's actually at the hotel room right now. He came to the game on Monday, hung out with us all day Monday. Tuesday, we did have rookie party, which was great. A lot of fun. Guys got together.
Can you explain that concept to the audience? Like, I'm not asking for details on your rookie party, but what I'm asking is can you give the concept? Because I think people hear what rookie party is and they have all these different ideas of what it looks like, but there is kind of a quote unquote standard for what those generally look like. So maybe if you wouldn't mind giving our audience a general idea of how that goes.
Yeah. So we had 4 rookies this year. The rookies have to, this year, our rookies had to go on a scavenger hunt, and they couldn't come to dinner before the scavenger hunt was done. But they had to videotape the whole thing, and they had to clean off the list of everything. So every video they would do, they would send it in the group chat. So the time when they got done, I think they were a half hour late. But yeah, I mean, it probably took them about a good 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours?
Wait, were they on individual scavenger hunts or was it as a group?
No, as a group.
Holy shit.
I think Fliggy met them at the hotel at 3:30. And yeah, I think they didn't get to us and maybe till 8 o'clock.
And by that time, you guys were just running up the dinner tab, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that happens, and then we go to dinner. And, the rookies are pretty much done after that.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much all they have to do.
They have to pay for dinner too, right?
They have to pay for dinner. Yes, they do have to pay for dinner.
Did you guys have a good meal? Where'd you guys go, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, we went to Arturo's.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice Italian spot. We just wanted to change the pace of, your kind of the same rookie party we always do. It's like Catch or Nobu or it's all the we kind of wanted to change the pace on this one, and it was really fun. We had a blast. The owners were great there. The guys had a great time, and it was cool. And everyone, I've never seen this before, but everyone, Fliggy passes out a beer. And he says something, and if he says the guy's name, he has to stand up and say something. So everyone had to do that. So that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of laughs, lots of good times, and yeah.
That's
One thing
cool.
I will say, Colby, I called Pat yesterday because my sister's best friend texted me. It was like, "Are the Blackhawks in New York City? I think I saw them at this bar last night." And I was like, "Yep, that was probably them."
Well, I appreciate you giving us a little bit of a look into it. The scavenger hunt thing is amazing. Every team has their own flavor as to what they do. I see comments in the chat. There's no hazing anymore.
Yeah.
Guys aren't doing that. Maybe when Pat first joined the league, maybe there was soft hazing. This week's been all about soft tampering, so maybe we'll call it soft hazing. There was a little bit of that. Maybe they made you dress up in a certain way, but that stuff is not happening anymore. Guys, everybody has cell phone. It's more of a team camaraderie thing. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be, as Pat said, once dinner's over, it's just a team party. It's just a fun night out where everybody hangs out together. So we appreciate you giving us a little bit of a live look into that, Pat. I was fortunate to catch one at Jackson's in Tampa a very long time ago, and I'm sure you know Jackson's and the way that place kind of gets all fired up. Someone in the chat asked about mine. I'll save it for a different time. It was such a long time ago, but I do appreciate the fact that you're willing to share that with the audience, because I bet a lot of people had one idea of what it looked like when it kind of looks a lot different than that.
Yeah.
It's not a frat initiation.
No.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we had a good time. We want sometimes you need, sometimes rookie party lands on like the perfect week or the perfect time in your schedule, and I think we needed this for the guys. It landed perfectly. Playing Monday, staying in the city. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We just needed this, time together, and it perfectly ended up perfect. And we guys got to go sing karaoke with a live band. Like, it was just a really good time.
Pat, something I got to ask you about, and I don't know if I'm stealing this from Colby, so I apologize ahead of time, but I know Kevin Shattenkirk has always spoken very highly of you as a teammate. Obviously, he announced his retirement the other day. We had him on the show yesterday. Do you have a favorite Shatty story from your time together in Tampa, or even just knowing each other maybe in you weren't in St. Louis together, right? You guys didn't cross over there.
We were just in Tampa together, and then briefly there in Boston.
Oh, yeah, in Boston.
But I knew Shatty because I used to skate there in St. Louis in the summertime, so I got to know all those guys when I skate there. And so it was favorite Shatty story. Oh, man.
There's probably too many.
We had the clip teed up for you yesterday where you had the screen on his OT goal in the Cup final.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was a cool moment.
Oh, man, I would have to think right now. But obviously, it's I called him yesterday. We talked a little bit. But, I'm happy for him. He had a hell of a career. I wish he would have got that.
I know.
That 1,000th game. But, Shaddy, I mean, look at that moment right there. In the Cup finals, scoring the overtime goal to go up 3-1 in the series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, he had a hell of a career. He was just, I always talk about Shaddy a lot because he was one of those teammates. He was the best teammate. And, he was always special to all of his teammates, and he cared for his teammates, and he was the best to do it. And, he'd never shy away from, making sure you bring all these guys in and they come together, and, he makes everyone feel themselves and feel comfortable. And, that's what you need. And he left the game on a good note. He played a long time. I wish he would have got 1,000, like I said, but he should be happy with his resume and what he did and what he accomplished in his career, from winning in college to winning in the Stanley Cup to playing for development teams, national teams. He did it all. So hats off to him.
Yeah, well, and he did play 91 playoff games, and I said this to him. I think it's ridiculous that we don't count playoff games, Pat, because playoff games take years off your life and your career. You know it as well as anybody. I mean, the amount of playoff games that you've played and that you've gone through, going through 25 playoff games in going through 4 rounds. I watched it with my teammates with the Boston Bruins as a healthy scratch, but it took a year off of all those guys' lives, what they went through to win that Stanley Cup. You're clearly no stranger to that. I do not understand why playoff games don't count towards your totals. I just don't, for the life of me, can't figure that out. They should count as more. Every playoff game is like 3 regular season games. Seriously. So I totally disagree with how the NHL handles that. And to me, he played 1,000 games because he played 91 playoff games, 952 regular season. He lived the work stoppage and all those different things. So yeah, an amazing career. As good as he was on the ice, better off the ice.
Yeah.
Most people's shatty stories are not shatty stories from what happened in a game. They're shatty stories from a wedding. They're shatty stories from a trip, from an all-star break. You know, his bachelor party is one of the most epic weeks I've ever had in my entire life. I mean, literally insanity. Like, I basically have not been able to party since. And that
You're
was
a legend, bro.
six years ago. Because only Shaddy would want to go to Ibiza for a bachelor party for 4 days. Which ended in us all being robbed, by the way. The whole house we rented got completely ransacked. And
Sounds
robbed.
like Vic.
We left Ibiza with nothing. We didn't have a bag. No, everybody's computers got stolen. One guy, you know, I don't know if it was Revo or Bortuzzo had a Rolex stolen. I mean, it was a total shit show, but it was the best. We all were like, you know what? This trip was so much fun, whatever. It is what it is. So, Pat, the last question that I have for you that actually comes from the chat from J-Rock is about the Winter Classic. You know, how difficult is it? And I'm going to add on to this. And his question is, are you looking forward to the Winter Classic? But how hard is it to not look forward? Meaning, like, you guys still have a bunch of games before the Winter Classic. It's not for a couple of weeks, but you know you have this massive event coming. So, A, how much are you looking forward to it? And B, how hard is it to kind of stay present and not think about the Winter Classic?
Yeah, I'm excited. I think for me, we got to make that Winter Classic a meaningful game to me. I look at it, what our schedule comes up right now. We got to start winning some hockey games here before the Winter Classic. We got to get moving. We got to keep playing better here down the stretch. So I want that game to be a meaningful game for me. You know, those games are fun to play in. They're exciting. You know, obviously you're playing in Wrigley Field. There's so much history for the Chicago Cubs. You're playing against a rival team, the St. Louis Blues, you know, their history and their background. And so I think we need to figure out ways to, you know, play some really good hockey down here the stretch. We got to start winning some hockey games. I want that game to mean something. And for me, I've never played in the World Classic, just 2 stadium series and a Heritage Classic. So really looking forward to this and, you know, playing my old team, the St. Louis Blues. So I'm on the other side of that. So I'm lucky enough to do that. So, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a lot of fun. You know, it's a lot of history in Chicago, especially at Wrigley. So really looking forward to that. And, you know, the fan base, you know, looking around and seeing all the fans and the people that are committed and diehard fans are committed when it's minus 10 degrees out. So, you know, really looking for that part.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. I'll be there, so I'm pumped to see you there.
You're going.
Yeah, I'll be there. So, I think I'll be on the ice actually during the practice day, so I'll get to skate around with you. Maybe we'll see.
Okay, perfect.
We better get some content.
Yeah, but one last thing, just before we let you go, Pat, too. Like, you know, it was really cool getting to see you and you bring your son and his friend down into the locker room after the game the other night, and kind of wanted to ask you how special that is for you to have, right? Because it's tough, I'm sure, to see him throughout the year, you know, with you being in Chicago, him being here and stuff. And Colby had a nice little sentimental moment to start the show about Shaddy, and just wanted to ask you how awesome it is to be able to bring your son around the guys, you know, on a road trip and stuff like that.
I mean, it's awesome because, you know, it never gets old for me because my son gets to meet, you know, new players and players that he looks up to. And he gets to come and see what I do, right? See how everyone operates, you know, after games or what they do after games, like working out or, you know, the treatment tables or, you know, icing or things that, you know, he doesn't really see. So I think that's just, for me, I love doing it. I know he loves it. You know, and for me, him being in Long Island, it's hard to see him, right? So I get the opportunity to hang out with him and be there. He gets to come watch his dad, you know, do what he loves for a living. And, you know, and those things that matter to me, you know, the hockey part's the hockey part, but being with your family and being with your kids, that's the most important thing to me. So, you know, yesterday he got to come to practice yesterday, his whole team. So
that's sick.
They all get to meet, you know, Bedsy and, you know, Fliggy sat there and talked to the kids. So, you know, these kids, you know, they love this kind of stuff, and I enjoy doing it for these kids because maybe one day when they're in our shoes one day, you know, they can do the same for someone else. And I think that's important to see, you know, and value family and value, you know, just good character teammates and guys, and, you know, guys that take the time out for them to take a picture with them or talk to them for 10 minutes. You know, one day if they're in that locker room, they can do the same.
Big Willie Style in our chat asked if your son likes Bedard more than you.
Yes.
Probably every parent to every kid in the Blackhawks locker room.
It was crazy. Like they were sitting there. He was sitting there talking to Josh Bailey's kids, and the kids came in and they all just had their phones out, like just taking pictures of him. I'm like, once he's done, boys, you'll see him. You'll get a picture of them. But yeah, it's crazy. Like these young kids love him.
He's a god. He's an absolute god to these guys. Well, look, hopefully his season's going well out on the island. You know, and Pat, we know it's game day. So again, making time for us on game day means a lot. Biz Nasty going on Pat McAfee has nothing on you. That is for sure. But we love you, buddy. We love seeing the team get that win the other night, even though Johnny probably didn't like it. I liked it.
Yeah, go beat the shit out of the Islanders and Devils for me, all right?
And I know you're gonna find the back of the net a couple of times over the next game. I'm feeling Pat Maroon energy right now, and I think they're gonna fall for you under Anders Sorensen, the new bench boss of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, thanks, boys. I always appreciate it. Sorry about the other day. I was a little hungover.
You're good. You're good.
It's all right.
I slept in, to say the least.
Luckily, Reamer popped on. Reamer texted me while Shaddy was on and was like, "Hey, can I come on?" So we filled your spot with him. He kept your seat warm, but you made it up to us today, which we appreciate.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, I didn't have a good head. My headache was not good. I was not in a good state of mind.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Good luck tonight.
Good luck tonight. Go sweat it out at Morning Skater. The
all right, see you, boys.
Yeah, Pat. That's great stuff. Love having him on here. All right, before we get into the end of the show, we do have a couple things we got to take care of. We asked you guys to guess your worst team of the week this week, presented by Out West. And remember, guys, the holiday shopping season is in full swing. And if you're on the hunt for the perfect gift, give the gift of Out West. Right now, we're running an early bird Black Friday sale with 25% off site-wide. Polos, hoodies, hats, women's styles, it's all there. Trade the dreaded department store lines for the convenience of OutWestGolf.com. We'll ship it all right to you so you can knock out your holiday shopping list from the couch. This season, give the people what they want. Give Out West. What are you laughing at?
You're Ron Burgundy read right now because you just talked about Black Friday, and it's mid-December.
No, I know. That's just the read that we have.
That was your Ron Burgundy moment of just reading the teleprompter. But look,
who put a question mark in the teleprompter?
We don't even really need a promo for Out West. Like the rest of our sponsors, yes, we need to make sure that we have the promo, but you see us in it now. You see Frank wearing it all the time.
Vic's got it on.
This is the best. We got to get a bigger sponsorship with them. That way they're in the show every single day because we do wear the clothes. At least I wear the clothes every day. And so, you guys know how we feel about Out West. So make sure you support our sponsors. That's supporting us. They do make good stuff. You can ask Jeremiah. You can ask other people in the chat who have done it. Vic is definitely not the most important New York Marine. Vic has been, and he's obviously the one who puts that comment on the chat. Vic has been.
He was grinding last night, though. Vic called me at like 12. I didn't have my power rankings done. I was still in the car. And he was like hounding me for my power rankings last night till like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So that's my
listen, he's got to make up some hours because he's definitely been, slipping a little bit. He couldn't get the show up and running this week. He's been on vacation for almost 6 months. He's got another 6-month vacation coming up here soon. So I Vic is on, let's just say he's on like a PTO right now. He's not, his contract is not getting extended at the moment. We're still deciding if we're giving him a bridge deal, if he's getting a long-term deal with low AAV, or if he's just going to be day to day on a PTO, which is kind of what I think he's at right now. But Johnny, who is our worst team of the week? Because I think it's fairly obvious.
Yeah, somehow we haven't had them yet, but it's the Nashville Predators. 0-5-3 in their last 8 games. And I just don't know what the answer is for them because, listen, Nashville was a team last year that turned it around. Obviously, everyone knows that whole U2 show thing that they went through. And I think they went on like a 16-game heater, but I just don't see that happening this year for that group. And I think I saw, did Frank someone put out Stamkos's name. It might have been Larry Brooks.
Oh God.
I don't think it was, but they might have said it on their podcast. Like that's a guy to keep an eye on if things don't go well in Nashville. Like maybe there's like a 1-for-1 trade opportunity with the Predators and the Rangers. You know, who knows?
Are you?
I mean,
I guess
it was Larry, I guess.
Oh my God. Really? Seriously? That's where you're going with this?
What?
You have such a one-track mind. You think Steven Stamkos is going to be a New York Ranger? Really? That's what you want? You want a 35-year-old?
That's what we do best at.
That makes $8 million a year and has 4 more years of it. That's what you want?
Patrick Kane wasn't enough.
I mean, like, why is it that you like Payne so much?
I'm just saying maybe keep an eye on Stamkos. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Bet365. And let's get wrapping on this show, Johnny, because
tonight's better than night. Last night, Vinny Trocheck did not score a goal. We have lost our last 2 bets in a row. And tonight, since we faded the Winnipeg Jets in our power rankings, we're going to fade them again tonight. We're taking the Vegas Golden Knights money line at +110 on the road in Winnipeg. The Jets have been struggling a little bit here in the past 10 games. Vegas has been pretty hot. So we're just going to fade the Jets. That's pretty much how it's going. Nothing too crazy. And we'll keep it simple at that.
All right. Well, look, been a good week. We had a lot of good guests this week.
One thing I want to address, though, before you close it out.
I was actually going to ask you one question before
I think it's the same thing. Is it the same thing?
If let's just say the Brady Tkachuk thing became real. Okay. How are you going to deal with Lafreniere getting traded? Because you're going to be okay with that?
See you, pal.
So you're getting rid of the bedspread and everything.
So long.
Wow. I'm actually proud of you for having that mentality. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Bye-bye. I'm proud of you for being a cutthroat business person.
Write letters.
Say your comment.
No, I got Eric Wilson in the chat asked if we had addressed the TikTok. I'm kind of going viral on TikTok right now because a girl posted a video of us singing karaoke. And
why don't you put it on your Twitter? We're not playing that video on here.
We don't. Oh, it just got dark over here. We don't have to play it on here. But if you're on TikTok, go looking for it.
I don't use TikTok because it's a spy app.
Well, you always talk about my love life, and this was a pretty. The girl was like, did karaoke with a random guy. Help me find him. And I had like 10 people send it to me yesterday. And
did you DM her?
I found her on Instagram and DM'd her, got her number. She lives in LA, but we're talking, so we'll see.
Okay. All right.
I'll leave it at that. You can wrap it up now. I won't interrupt you.
All right. Look, it was a great week. Again, it was a pretty stacked week. We had Frank, we had Shaddy, we had Van Riemsdyk, we had Maroon, we had Jeff Merrick came on the show with us. We've talked about the lineup on DFO right now. Make sure you go back and watch the sheet from yesterday. I know I said that about Patrick Burke, but I watched about 30 minutes of conversation between Jeff and Pierre Maguire. I know people don't they have this weird thing where they like to shit on Pierre Maguire, but I
love Pierre.
I got to tell you something. My personal experiences with Pierre have been nothing but amazing. He's been nothing but supportive to me as a broadcaster in my career. He was supportive when I was a player. He came on our show and he was great. You listen to Pierre, Pierre's got great stories. He really does.
He knows everything about everyone.
The guy has been in every role in the game of hockey. And so it was a really interesting interview. And let me just address your comment, Jay Thielen. A lot of people in the chat yesterday on Jeff's show were saying, God, I really didn't like Pierre, but this conversation has sort of changed the way that I'm viewing him. And so that's all I'm saying is it's okay to hate people. I mean, I don't think it's okay to hate people that you don't know just because like you have a difference of opinion of them. That's not my style. Just in any part of life, that's not.
You hate people that you do know.
Exactly. Hate people that you do know, not that you don't know. That I'm okay with. But I'm just saying, go play the part of the sheet with Pierre, and then walk away and say, "Oh my God, I hate this." Like you won't be able to do it. So have an open mind about it because it was really interesting. And people in the chat were saying that. I saw a lot of people commenting that in the chat. I was in the chat. I was staring it up. And so I would urge you to go back and watch that. Daily Face-Off live at noon today with Frank and Tyler. The big boys are back in their big chairs. And then that's the end of the week for us. The sheet at 3 p.m. I know Frank Saravalli interviewed Dylan Strome this week for Frankly Speaking. I don't know when that's releasing. Probably not this week, maybe next week. He's usually a week out in front of that. But you'll want to catch that as well because Dylan Strome, as we know, is a great interview. He was great on our show this summer. Mm-hmm. He's a total hockey nerd. Today, Vic is telling me LaPerriere is with Marek. Which LaPerriere? Max LaPerriere. Okay. So the biter himself from the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm going to go in the chat on Jeff's show today and ask him about biting Lucic in the Stanley Cup Finals because that was bulletin board material in our locker room.
That was Burrows, I thought.
No, I think that was LaPerriere. Was it Burrows?
I think it was Burrows. It was Alex.
Maybe
Burrows.
They were both biting. I can't remember. It's so long ago, but they were biters. That locker room had a bunch of biters. So that'll be 3 p.m. Yeah. And again, we appreciate you guys rolling with us. Last thing I'll say, give us a like on the episode. Subscribe to the Daily Face-Off YouTube channel. You guys have been doing that a lot lately, and our numbers have been buzzing. So again, we don't have a show without you guys. We really don't. We wouldn't have our contracts been renewed this year by Nation Network without you guys. So I know we say it, but it's true. Like this isn't linear television where it just doesn't really matter. They're just going to keep doing the show. We only have our show because of you guys. We would not have been renewed. So we appreciate you guys. We're getting close to the holidays. So I know Johnny's going to start buying everybody in the chat gifts with all of his signing bonus money. And we'll see everybody back here next week, right? Monday morning, we'll be back 9 a.m. It'll be a long weekend for us as it always is. But everybody enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. And we will see you all 9 a.m. Monday morning.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Face-Off. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.